Hey folks, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you guys are. I hope you're having a really good Sunday. Today, as is normal for me right before a build stream, I have been in a huge rush. I have literally, within the last 3 minutes, taken the plate that we potentially...
Ooh, very nice.
Oh, very nice. Thank you very much, Bledin, for subscribing there. Thank you very much, dude. He says evening. We've literally, within the last 3 minutes, taken the plate we're potentially going to use today off of the laser cutter and cleaned it up. So that's how close to time I was cutting it today. So I do apologize, guys, if I look a little bit flustered, if the beard's a little unkempt, if the hair's a little all over the place. I am sorry, but I am here and I'm ready to share with you guys the build that we're going to do today. Chris Bezic, he got first today, so congratulations, well done. You are numero uno in terms of joining chat today. We've also got AKB James. James is actually the designer of this board, so big props to him. We'll talk about some of the design features on the board shortly. Unicorn's here as well. We've also got Karcher.
Very nice.
Huey, very nice. 16 months of subs. Thank you very much for that, dude. We appreciate that. That is very nice. Thank you very much. We've also got Tom Barnes, Karcher, Huey, Don Brosflow, Unicorn, Vogon, Jay Saints is here as well. Nordhell is here as well, saying hello. I think that's everyone so far. Now, this is only the second stream of the year, and it's been a little while for me.
Very nice.
Tectonic Plate, thank you very much. 29 months. 29 months? That's over 2 years, man. That's huge. Huge. Thank you very much, dude. Thank you.
Very nice.
Jay Saints, thank you very much, my man. Thank you. 10 months of subs. This is the first time we've had the hype train on a build stream in ages. So thank you very much for this, guys. Thank you. I was just about to say that I was expecting the stream to be like really quiet today and have like maybe 20 people watching because I'd not promoted it much. I'd not said much about what we were doing today. So yeah, I was expecting really low numbers.
Tasty.
Tasty bits there. Thank you very much from Vorgon. They're very tasty. Thank you, dude. Appreciate those. Yeah, let's get the hype train going, guys. Let's see if we can get the hype train pushing. Jane says, a reminder, we need to talk after the stream tomorrow. I have something on the way that might interest you. Drop me a DM, man. My DMs are always open. My DMs are never closed to anyone. I don't block people or anything like that. You can always reach me through a DM. If I don't reply straight away, it's usually because I'm really busy and I never have less than like 80 messages to read on Discord, but I will get to them all, I promise, even if it takes a few days. Just keep chasing me if I don't. But thanks, guys. Yeah, today we're going to be building an Argyle, which is really exciting because this board has been in the works for well over a year now, and today is the day where I'm going to be able to show you guys exactly how it works, how it goes together.
Very nice.
Tom Barnes, thank you very much for the subscription. That was gifted to you by AKB James. He's given 9 gift subs in the channel. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. So yeah, so we are gonna build the Argyle. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about the future of Argyle and when things might be happening because it's not that far away. Yeah, it's exciting. It's interesting and it's exciting, and I'm really excited to show you. It's at the side. If you look on the little camera just over at the side, in fact, it's on this side now because I've flipped the cameras around. You'll also see it just down here. So yeah, we're going to be building that shortly. We do have some options as well. You guys in chat are going to be able to select the switches that we use today. As I say, we literally just cut a POM plate, a POM as in Delrin material, on the laser cutter right before the stream. So we're going to use that plate, assuming it all works. I haven't even had a chance to test it. It looks okay, but we'll see. If not, we have got an aluminium backup plate that we can use, but we should be all right. And yeah, we're going to put it all together. We're going to show you guys how it works. We're going to show you some of the tweaks we've made because this is quite an old prototype. There is another prototype that's being made at the moment, and there's also more prototype PCBs and things like that as well. So we will show you the way it is now. We'll talk about some of the tweaks that we've made, and we'll talk about how it's going to get pushed forward as well. Reminder, oh yeah, we talked about Jay Saint's message. He reminded me that he needs to speak to me. I'll reach out to him later on. I think he's messaged me. Vogon says that beard though, so good at the minute. It's huge, man. It's huge. I need to get back to the barbers and have it trimmed, but we're back in lockdown here in the UK, so it's probably going to be a few weeks before that happens. But it does need a little bit of a trim and a tidy up. I think we can hear your Discord. Yeah, I think you probably can hear my Discord. For some reason, it's not using... let me see if I can change it in settings. It used to go into streamer mode whenever I connected... whenever I connected, like whenever I turned to streaming on and I used my streaming software, it used to go into streaming mode. It doesn't do that right now, and I don't know why. Let me see if I can manually turn it on. Okay, manually turn streaming mode on. Manually turn streaming mode on. You won't hear it again for the rest of the stream. Okay, there we go. Good. There we go. Tom Barnes, congrats on the 100th CRKBD. Nice. I didn't realize you built 100 of them, man. That's amazing. That's awesome. Congratulations, dude. So for those that you don't know, Buns Tom is Tom Barnes. He builds stuff for mech boards here in the UK, one of the other vendors here. So congratulations, man. That's huge. 100 is awesome. Don Brosflow says, Yo Jay, hey man, good to see you, dude. Good to see you. Nerdy as well. I've got a package that's going to be picked up for you tomorrow morning. So now I'm back in the workshop. I can actually get here, and it's not thick of snow. It's going to ship out to you tomorrow morning. So there we go. Can confirm Jay's plates work. It's a cool board. Can confirm. Nice, nice. Zapri, that is Solarized Dark on that particular board there. Yes, that is my F1ATEX from Geon Works, and it's wearing Solarized Dark right now. Yes, yes. Coinsum says, hi Jay, thanks for all the help on Discord the other day. No problems, man. You are more than welcome. You're more than welcome. Key Cables is here as well. He says, hey Jay, nice to see you. Nice to see you, man. I've got some stuff in the warehouse from you. If I think it's you anyway. I'm assuming by the name it's you. So yeah, exciting. Keygem is here as well. Good evening, Keygem guys. Glad to see you. Glad to see you on stream. And Vogan said, it's the beard, Jay. Discord has something about the beards. Perhaps it sees on my camera that we've got the beard and it doesn't like that. I don't know. I don't know. I almost didn't have time to make a coffee before the stream today. That's how tight it was. So I got to the workshop to give you guys some context. And so I got to the workshop 4 hours ago. And the first thing that I thought I'd do is catch up on customer orders. So I spent 2-3 hours boxing up customer orders, or about 2.5 hours boxing up customer orders, and then I spent some time making sure I got all the parts ready for the Argyle. I was speaking to Socialite, whose board it is, and we were going backwards and forwards, talking about switches and choices and everything else. And then I realised the time, and it was like, oh, I never cut the POM plate, and I literally had like 20 minutes before the stream started to do it. So it was a case of turn on the laser cutter, get the files all ready, trim them, sort them out, sort out the kerf and everything else, tailor the laser cutter to the depth of material, and then cut it. And luckily, we did it just before the stream.
Tasty, tasty.
Vogon, thank you very much for another 100 bits. They're very tasty. Let's get to level 2. I think we've already missed it, dude. I think we've already missed the choo-choo train. I think that's gone. But there we go. What beans for the coffee am I using? I can't remember what these ones are at the minute. I just used whatever was on the side and I poured them in and went with them. I have got about 10 or 15 different coffees up here. I would have to check. Check out my Instagram stories afterwards, Keygem, and I will double check and I will share with you what beans they are. Been waiting for this day for a long time. Jempot, thanks very much. Yeah, it's exciting to show you. This is actually the original prototype. We've done some other bits and pieces since then, but this is actually prototype numero uno, the first one. So there is some changes and tweaks to this one, and there's also some changes to tweaks to how things will go together in the production model. But I'll talk through those, and you'll be able to see that as we get closer to the build and we go through the build. So I'll bring you guys up to speed on that. And of course, this is going to be Socialite's personal board, so we're going to build it to his specification today, which is really exciting. Yeah, okay, so I think after taking 10 minutes to tell you why I was so late today and how late I was and how stressed I was just before the stream, it's probably time to actually start to show you guys the board and put it together. So let's flick over to the other camera. Whoosh, a bit of magic there. You can see my glorious coffee here in my wonky mug. Like, seriously, have you guys seen how wonky this is? This is supposed to be a round mug. I mean, it's a lovely mug, but it's not round. But hey, such is life. It's just one of those things. It was handcrafted. It was made for me by a friend. They hand painted it. I've actually got two. They've done this one and one that's. Do you know what it is? They've rounded it by doing that. And the shape of their hands is why it's actually got a point here, and it's more rounded there because that's how they rounded the cup. And you can feel like their fingerprints in it. Like there's fingerprints on it where they've made exactly that shape. My hands aren't quite the same size as theirs, but I can feel it. And they've done another one for me as well, which has got like a bit more of a geometric pattern in as well, which you might have seen on stream sometimes. But they're all hand painted. This one's, as you can see, got dots in it. Yeah. Hey Yuri, thank you very much for the raid with 70 people. We're literally just talking about my coffee right now before we start to do a build. But welcome to the stream, guys, and thank you very much for being here. Why didn't it use that thing which spins? I don't know. They made it at home done. It was a gift. They made me 2 and it was a gift. They know I like coffee. They made me 2 coffee mugs. I can't say no. Hey Yuri, thank you very much, man. Thank you very much. We do love Jake. Oh, thank you, man. I love you too. I'm sorry I've not been on your streams recently. I do apologize for that. I will be back at some point soon, I'm sure. What a Dream is Analog Dreams. Yeah, Analog Dreams is on my... This is one of 2 of these. So this is an LZST in polycarbonate. And there's only 2 of these boards in existence. And this one is mine with Analog Dreams built in UK ISO. We built this on stream a few weeks ago. I think it was the last build of last year, actually. Yeah, and this is my F1 8X with GMK Solarized Dark. So there we go. Gio's here as well. He says, build. Today we are building an Argyle Prototype, but the one and only, well, not the one and only Argyle Prototype, but the earliest, the first ever Argyle Prototype. That's what we're going to build today. I'm going to show you guys how the board works, how it's put together. Then we're going to talk about some changes that we're going to make for the group buy for the final production versions. And maybe we'll drop some teasers around when that might happen as well. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Wagon says, enjoy the coffee. Thank you, man. Thank you. I love my coffee. It's no secret. So yeah, we were talking about how handcrafted my mug is, because as you can see, this is not round. This is kind of like a weird wonky shape, but hey, it's nice. It works. Good guy Future Crimes with the sale of the LZST to Jay. Do you know what? Future Crime had that board for a couple of years, and he knew from day one, the first time I ever saw it at one of the meetups in the UK, that I wanted it, and he was really nice enough to offer it to me when he put it up for sale. He was like, Jay, I know you want this. If you want it, you can have it right now. In fact, he ended up selling me 2 boards. He sold me that and a montage in Peacock Blue, a Lin montage in Peacock Blue. So now I have 2 montages, because why not? Why not? I can't remember if it was 2017 or 2018 bled in. 2 to 3 years ago. Yeah, 2 to 3 years ago. Yuri says my wallet is somewhat ready. Hey man, it'll be as cheap as we can get it. Don't worry about that. I don't know which one it was, Bled. I can't remember. Were you at that one? Did we meet there? I can't remember. The first time I saw it was the meetup before the Hyper 7, I think. So I don't know. I don't know is the honest answer. It could have been 2018. Was that January 2018? Was that 3 years ago now? That might be right. That might be right. You might be right there, Bled. You might be right. February 2018. Okay, January, February, a month, whatever. Okay, it's 3 years ago. Yeah, it could have been that one. It might have been the one before. I'm not 100% certain. I will take your word for it if it was that one. But yeah, it's one of 2. It's one of my pride and joys. It's a board that will never leave my collection, and I'm really happy to have it. But you guys aren't here for that. You guys are here for me to drink coffee, right? That's what you guys are all here watching, just how I drink coffee and watching me enjoy the coffee, right? That's what it's for. Or do you actually want to see some keyboards being built? Proper coffee technique. So holding the cup underneath, pouring the milk in. Well, actually, I hold it like that, actually. But pouring the milk in, yeah. Proper technique. Sparny came in his sailor hat is one I remember clearly. Really? Span was at one of the meetups. I do remember that, but I'm not sure if it was the same one. They've all merged into one for me. They've all merged into one bled in. But yeah, hopefully 2021 will be the year that meetups return after the failure of 2020 to host a serious meetup. But we'll see. Hazelnut flavor and milk later. That sounds nice. I'm not a big fan of adding things to coffee other than milk. I like my coffee to be just coffee and milk. But I do appreciate people who like to add flavorings and things like that. That makes sense. Okay. Anyway, we've talked enough about coffee. It is time now that people have raided, now that Uri and gang are here, to show you guys the Argyle. But before I show you the Argyle, let me show you the other things that we're working with today. So we have 2 plate choices. We have a POM plate, which I literally cut straight before the stream today. This was literally cutting as the starting soon page was live today. So this is really flexible POM plate. It's still actually warm in places. We also have an aluminium plate, aluminum, aluminium, just standard plate. This is the original prototype plate. This was cut by Laser Boost, I believe. But it's seen a bit of wear.
Ooh, very nice.
Flexerman, Flex, my dearest friend. Thank you very, very much for those 5 tier 1 gift subs. Thank you, dude. That's now 118. 118
Ooh, very
gift subs.
nice.
And now we're going to get the, very nice, a few times in a row. So thank you very much, Flex. We need to chat tomorrow because everything that you sent me last week looks good. So we need to chat tomorrow. I'll set some time up and put a meeting in.
Ooh, very nice.
Oh, I do love Rudy's voice when it comes up with, ooh, very nice. So those are the 2 plates we have. As I say, one was cut months and months ago when the prototype was first made. The other was cut literally,
very nice.
literally 20 minutes ago. I do love that. Very nice. I do love that. We need to get Rudy to record more voice clips, I think. More voice clips. Adam says, ANSI.
Very nice.
ANSI, ANSI. Yes, this is a build for Socialite, who the board was designed for. So he commissioned us to make a design for him. This was the design we came up with, or James came up with, James AKB, who's in chat. And he wants the board to be built in ANSI. So that's how we're going to build it. That's his choice. Rudy for the win. Absolutely, Gempot. We've got Rudy's voice on here quite a bit, and hopefully we'll get more of Rudy's voice on here later on as well. Borja thanking Flexerman for the subscription as well. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, guys. Okay, so that's the plates that we have. Let me show you the PCB. Now, I will be honest, this PCB is pre-built, so you can see that this has already got all of the components put in there. That's because all of the prototypes are built, and before we decided to do this stream, I didn't have a chance to order any more, but you can see that basically it's got everything on here. The only thing that's not on here that will be on the production ones is the reset switch, which will be here, and as you can see, the reset switch will be pressable through the plate with this little slot here as well. So that's the only change to the PCB that we're going to be making. You can also see that we've got 2 gaskets here, one this side and one this side, and that's just to stop light bleed from these LEDs down the side. So these LEDs are designed to light up the windows that show the components, and this is just to stop light bleed coming underneath the plate and getting towards the switches. Those will all be provided with the board when we go into production and when we run the group buy. And as you can see, it is USB-C. If my camera wants to focus. Go on, camera, please. Camera, come on. It just does not like me today. Anyway, it is USB-C. I promise you it's there, USB-C. And of course, we've got Yankar's logo, who did the design of the PCB. We've also got the Prototypist logo, because that's where we're running it through. And yeah, and there's the Socialite logo as well in this top corner. And there's the Argyle pattern across both sides, just to keep it all matching, all neat and all tidy. Flipping over to the other side, you can see that all of the components have been soldered on the top side. There's very, very few components on the bottom side. So it's all nice and neat and tidy. This one wasn't soldered by me. This one was soldered by Socialite. So he's done a great job of putting all of the components in and soldering them nice and neatly. And one thing we will do later on towards the time when we actually run the group buy is do a full stream where we actually solder one of these from scratch. So looking forward to doing that as well. Sangan, not Ansi. Yeah, okay, it's Sangan. Yes, you're right. You're right. It is. Do the gaskets touch the plate? Yes, they rest between the PCB and plate, so they will basically touch just like so. And you want it's just to prevent light bleed. Otherwise, because we've got the LEDs there, you just get light bleed all the way across. There is also the case that comes down in that position as well, and we do also have diffusers in the case that will be cut from acrylic, which I'll show you guys later on as well. I was looking forward to diode bending. Just one of those things, man. Just one of those things. Brez says, how's it going, everyone? Hey, man, did you get your board in yet? Did you get your board in, Brez? You were the winner of the exclusive E8.5 a few weeks ago. I hope you've got it in now. Or if not, I hope it's there very soon. I hope it's there very soon. Flexman's in chat. Hey, man, good to see you, dude. Good to see you. We will definitely speak tomorrow. The gaskets won't affect plate flex, no. They're very soft, squishy gaskets, and this board isn't designed to be particularly flexible. It's top mount, so any flex you get is going to be from the top mount tabs bending rather than the actual plate itself. There's no reflex cuts or flex cuts or any cuts in the PCB, so it's not going to change that. And with the switches holding the plate in position, where you're going to get the any flex from, as it were, is from the tabs that hold the top mount in. That's where you're going to get flexibility from. So using a softer plate is just going to give you a soft bottom out. There's no flex in the PCB allowed for this one. So yeah, so it's not going to be a flexible design build because that's just not the way we approach the design. Hey, you chose that name, man. You chose that name. It came yesterday. I've been enjoying an ISO layout. Still need to get used to the short left shift. Thank you again. No worries, man. I'm glad you enjoy the board, and I hope it has a long and happy lifetime with you there. It was a great board while I had it. I think the stabs probably need a tune-up because it's not been used for a few months. But other than that, I hope you really, really enjoy it. And split left shift, it gives you an extra key for gaming, man. So win-win, you know? You've got that extra key here. Look, extra key. That's got to be a win for gaming, right? It's a cheat. It's a cheat code. A real-life hack. How to be better at games. Use ISO layout. Okay, so that's what we've talked about. We also have some stabs today. We're going to be using Durock stabs. I believe these are Durock stabs. With some washers, just standard stabilizers. I believe they're Durock. But we do have a choice of switches. We can use Gateron Merlot switches. We can use Alpaca switches. Or we can use Mauve switches. And you guys are going to get to vote on which ones we pick. In about 10 minutes time, once we've talked through the rest of the build and everything else we're going to do today. We also have a little pack of screws. These are just to hold the plate for the top mount, so that'll be nice and easy to do later on, so we'll just keep them to one side. And we also have some foam from Socialite. Now, I'm not sure if Socialite's watching. I hope he is. But if he is, do you want this in the build or not? We never discussed it, man. So let me know in DMs if you want this in the build or not. We've still got a little bit of time. We've still got you guys to select switches. We've still got to tune the stabilizers and install them. But Socialite, let me know if you want this foam in there or not. Be interesting. Let's leave it out to Socialite, not a problem. In terms of key set today, we will be using DCS Red Alert. Socialite has sent this across. This is his set. I also have a set as well, back in the workshop in the lockup, but this is his set, and this is the key set we'll be using today, just to highlight how good it looks on the board, because the board is E-white version, so it looks good. So there we go. Okay, so you guys can pick the switches shortly. These are the 3 sets of switches that Socialite has sent to me. If you guys want any more information about these switches, tag Socialite and ask him, because I don't know how any of these are being tuned. He just sent these to me and gave me these as options to give to you guys to do the build stream. So I'm not sure how these have been tuned, apart from the fact that whoever lubed them did a damn good job, because they all feel great. So there we go. Okay. Before we pick the switches, we're just gonna put this to one side. And Socialite, you need to decide if you want the POM plate or if you want the aluminium plate as well. I think you're gonna want the POM. But let's see. But before we choose the switches, guys, I'm gonna show you the board. So bear in mind, guys, this is a prototype. It has been shipped backwards and forwards between myself and Socialite a number of times, so it's not in the best condition. Palm it up. It's not the best condition prototype because it's just been all over the place. But as you can see, it will come wrapped up nicely, just like this. It will also come in not a TX case like this is here, but it will come in a hard carry case when we do the group buy. All of our group buy boards do come in a hard carry case. And here we go. Show you the board. Show you the base first, guys. And this is kind of like the nut shot as well. I should have shown you this last, but how nice is that? How good does that design look? This is just crying out for some decent infill. Argyle logo, dead center. This is etched into the aluminium, so you can see that it's fully etched in. Dead good. Crying out for some infill. So there we go. Yeah, older PT boards come in a hard case. Yes, so like the JO2, the JO1s will all come in a hard case. It's similar to a TX case, but not quite as deep. If you've seen a JO2 case, it'll be something similar to that. Okay, looking at the board from the top down, you can see that this has been built a few times as this prototype. It's got some rubber in the bottom. This is something that Socialite's added. It's not part of the design or the build. When we take the board apart, I'll show you guys what it looks like underneath. And you'll see that we already have the windows installed just here. You can see that's installed, the window just there as well. These are acrylic. We did look at options to use glass, but we'll be using acrylic for the actual group buy, and it will be, for those of you interested in this and interested in material science, it won't be standard acrylic. Because there's two types of acrylic, right? This is where we're going to get into material science, and I'm going to talk about this in a bit of detail. So in terms of acrylic, there's two types that are used commonly, especially in the keyboard community. There is extruded acrylic, which is usually sold in sheets, and it's thin, and well, it comes in varying thicknesses. But it doesn't cut the nicest because it's extruded. So it's pushed through a mold into a sheet that just pushes it out and then it cools. So it's basically coming through something that takes it from a big blob, squishes it nice and flat, and then it comes off onto a conveyor belt and they chop it up into the right length or roll it up or whatever they're going to do with it. The other type of acrylic, which is what we're going to use for the windows on this in the group buy, is what's called cast acrylic. Now, cast acrylic is basically, it's that molten stuff again, but instead of being pushed through a mold, it's actually poured into a tray of varying thicknesses or whatever else you want the sizes, and then it's let to cool and harden, and then it's popped out and it comes out like a sheet of glass. Now, that type of acrylic has a slightly different chemical makeup, and it actually cuts nicer on laser cutters and things like that. So that's the type of glass that we're going to use for this. It's going to be proper cast acrylic, not extruded acrylic, and that should mean that it cuts nicer, it looks a little bit nicer, it stays a bit shinier and glossier, and it has a better reflection from the light and everything else. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about how we've changed the board to accommodate that as well in the near future. Okay. Notice says all the PT boards come in a hard case. Yes, they do. Semi-Dodge says clean. Jumpot says ooh. Key Cable says woohoo. Jumper says thank you Jay for saying it'll come in a hard case. Great stuff. Yeah, there's a couple of reasons for putting things in hard cases. One, it makes it easier to ship, right? It's going to take less damage if it's in a hard case, or there's less chance of it getting damaged. The hard case is going to protect it more. Two, it means that you've got a really nice unboxing experience. You get to unzip it, you get to fold it back. It's really nice for the customer. And three, if you ever want to move the board around, you've got a custom carrying case that you can use for it. It just makes sense all round. It also means, as Gio says, that in our sustainability drive, because Prototypist is trying to be as sustainable as possible right now, you're not throwing rubbish out. You're not getting cardboard that's then chucked out and getting rid of. Like, at the minute, we're doing a number of things. We carbon offset every single package we ship. We carbon offset every single package we receive. We carbon offset every single ounce, penny, pound, meter of water, utilities, gas and electric that we use here at the workshop, and we try and do it for as much of our travel as possible. We're also trying to build that into anything we do from a production perspective, so working with our partners in China, Poland and the rest of the world to make sure that Germany as well, to make sure that when things are made, we know how much energy has gone into producing them, and I can offset that as well through the business directly. So we're trying to be as sustainable as possible. All of our cardboard is recycled. It's not bleached. All of our tape is recycled. That is bleached, but we're trying to move away from that. You know, all of the tissue paper that you saw earlier on with the Prototypist logo on, that's all produced by a company called No Issue, who is completely carbon neutral, and we're trying to do exactly the same across everything. So there's more than one reason for us to use hard cases, and that's a really, really good one. So thank you, Gia, for reminding me of that. Thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah, the bleaching is really important, right? Like, you can get recycled products, and this is why all of our boxes are brown, and everyone complains that I ship things in boring brown boxes and not white ones with stamps on and things, but it's because it's been recycled and it's not being bleached. That's why the cardboard boxes are always brown. So it's one of those things, like, to take care of things, you experience things in certain ways, and that's just one of the things we have to have an experience. It's a brown box, I'm afraid, guys. It's just the way it is. Okay, without much further ado, let's get this board opened, and then I can show you guys more of the details inside. Look at how good that weight looks. That the bottom of that board looks. I can't get the light on it right. There you go. Pet peeve about recycled toilet paper, for sure. Rush just wants the Argyle. Well, we'll see what we can do, Russ. We'll see what we can do. We might take you off the ban list if you ask nicely. Why do they bleach it in the first place? They bleach it so that they can put designs and prints on it and a number of other things. But bleaching is bad for the environment. So it releases a ton of CO2 into the atmosphere, does bleaching things. And the actual production of the bleach causes more as well. It's just a lose-lose situation if you're trying to be sustainable. Yeah, so it's white and looks pretty is pretty much the main reason. What's that blue thing on the right near your trays? Over here? You mean this? Oh, this is just like a 3D printed model. It's actually a puzzle. So all of these bits slide around, and it's actually a puzzle that you can take apart. And the idea is to try and solve the puzzle. It's actually purple, but the light makes it look blue. But yeah, so it's actually a puzzle, so it all comes apart. And then you can take these out, but it all fits together in kind of weird ways and weird shapes. I printed this in my workshop a couple of months ago. People say that I can't print because I get crap quality prints. Well, sorry guys, this is just proof that you're wrong, because this is an amazing quality print. No sanding or anything on this, it's just all as it came off the 3D printer. But there we go. Yeah, it's just a little puzzle egg. Maker's Muse puzzle egg, if you want to Google it and find it. But yeah, all of the layers spin individually. So you can spin top layer, middle layer, bottom layer. There we go. Just something fun to make, guys. That's all it was. Just something fun to make. People don't want to use brown toilet paper or towels. That's very true. That's very true. A lot of them like to use the blue ones, which are then bleached and then dyed, which is even worse. The interesting thing about the brown boxes, though, is when we get rid of the prototypist tape and when we move to non-bleached recycled craft brown paper for the tape, we are going to get some proper true screen printing equipment here in the workshop, and we're going to use that to actually print the logo on the side of the boxes. It's the Maker's Muse egg puzzle, Saiku. Maker's Muse egg puzzle. If you Google it, you're happy for you to put a link in the chat. Yeah, the print's pretty cool, Flex. It's come out really nicely. Like, I mean, it's FDM. It's on a Prusa i3, so there is layer lines in it, but it's really, really smooth. Like, it's like incredibly smooth. So there we go. Neon Ninja says, "Hey dude, what's it going? You in the UK?" Yes, I'm based in West Yorkshire. My company, Prototypist Keyboards, is based here in the warehouse. So this is the office for the warehouse. The warehouse is through that wall, and that wall behind me, we just have the front corner as an office space. So yeah, we're based here. Should get a bidet and stop using toilet paper. Well, yeah, I would agree for a lot of people that would be true. Yes. I found it. Thank you very much. No problem. No problem. Make sure to donate to Maker's Muse for it. I think I dropped him like $15, $20 because I really enjoy it. You do need some magnets, which I haven't put in there as yet, but yeah, you can put some in there. Coinstorm doing the Lord's work. Thank you very much, man. Sean's is here as well. He says, hey, hey, hey. Okay, so now we've unscrewed the base. We should be able to take this off, he says. We should be able to take it off. There we go. Okay. Pop screws to one side. As you can see, it does have two different screw lengths. We've got long screws for the rear of the board. We've got short screws for the front of the board, and that's just due to the height difference in the board. It makes it nice and easy to put together. Let's look at the top case then. So in terms of this, we've got a few things I want to show you. First of all, we will have some acrylic gaskets in here. You can see that there is a gasket in place, but this is rubber, and that's going to act as the diffuser. So that's going to be made of acrylic, and that's basically going to stop the light from in here diffusing across. Well, it's going to diffuse it nicely because it sits on top of the LEDs. So let me show you guys. Let me show you guys. So that diffuser there sits on top of the LEDs here. And then it diffuses the light nicely, and then this part of the gasket blocks any light coming underneath the keys. So that's the idea behind the two together. And we might need to adjust where these are because I've just eyeballed it for now, but we'll make sure that we put them in the right place when we put the whole board together. So they're going to be made from frosted acrylic, and they're going to be made from cast acrylic as well. They're not going to be made from the standard extruded acrylic. They're actually going to be made from cast acrylic, which means we should get a really, really nice diffusion of light, and that'll be frosted all the way through, not just frosted on the edges or anything like that. The actual windows themselves, you can see that there is the window in there if I get the light just right. You can see that's in there. On this particular version, we were going to try and gasket mount the windows, and you can see there is a seam running all the way down here that we were going to push that into, but we're actually going to go with pressure fit for the actual group buy because these hold in pretty well. You can push them out if you put a bit of force on them, but they hold in pretty nicely as is. So we're probably just going to go with pressure fit for those. Also see here that we've got the tabs for the top mount. Just the standard position. You are free to screw in as many or as few of these as you want, as long as it keeps the board functioning nicely, and that's the main reason why it's top mount, just to give it a nice sound profile, make sure it's standard fitment, keep the costs down, and to make sure it's something that everyone's used to as well. You can also see that we do have little tabs here built into the sides of the case. This is just for alignment, to make sure all of the case is put together and aligned nice and neatly, and these are on both sides. And we've got 4 of them in total. The only other thing to tell you about on the top case is the cutout for the USB-C. That is on what is the left-hand side of the board. If my camera will focus on it. There we go. And that's all nicely in place. Yankaz here as well. Hey Yankat, we've been talking about how good a job you did on the design of this PCB earlier on, Yankat. Thank you very much for that, my dude. Okay. Taking a look at the base then, we told you about the outside earlier on, the Argyle logo on there looking pretty spiffy on this particular E-White version. This is crying out for some infill. It's exactly the right width and depth for you to be able to infill this nice and easily as well, if you wanted to do that. Just on the inside, we have got some foam added by Socialite, but I'll just take off a bit of a piece here, and you can see that it's actually just a standard base. It's just flat on the inside. There's nothing else on there. There's a slight drop from the edge, and that's all the way across. This foam is just something he wanted to put in there. You don't have to put foam in it. You can leave it without the foam if you actually want to. This is just how Socialite wanted it to be, so that's the way we're going to build it. Do I have a cold? I have a little bit of a cold, Yankar. Yes, I have a little bit of a cold. Thank you very much for noticing. I've been suffering for the past couple of days since we had the snow, and we had really, really bad snow here on Thursday. And when I woke up at 5 AM and took the dog for a walk, there was no snow at all. And by 9 o'clock, when I was ready to set off to the workshop, it was thick of snow. There was like 4 inches of snow. So I managed to drive here to the workshop, which should have been about 10 minutes drive, and it took me over an hour to get here. And then I packed up everything I needed from the workshop to be able to work from home. And then I decided to drive home. And it took me nearly an hour to get home, which should have been 5 minutes, because there's one-way systems here, so it's longer to get here than it is to go home. So it should have been about 10 minutes to get here and about 5 minutes to get home. I should have been able to do the round trip in 20 minutes. It took me 2 hours. And as I was driving home, to get to where I live, I have to go up a really steep hill. And the car got almost all the way up to the top of the hill and then got stuck. So then I had to run like 3/4 of a mile in the snow all the way home, get a shovel, run all the way back, because the car was just sat there in the middle of the road. It had the hazards on and everything else, but it was just sat there. So if anything else came into the, there's only one road in and out of where I live as well. So if anything else came in, it could get stuck around me, or it could hit me, or whatever. So I had to run all the way back there, all the way back with a shovel, and then I had to dig the car out, and then I had to drive it all the way home. I got stuck another 2 times in that trip, and whilst I was on the way back as well, there was a DPD delivery van trying to get out of where I live, and I helped those guys as well. So I was out in the snow for, you know, quite a while. For that 2-hour journey, I was probably out in the snow for half an hour in just a t-shirt digging snow up, and because of that I have a really bad cold. If you'd have spoken to me on Friday, you wouldn't have been able to understand what I was saying, because I was really, really, really bad. So it was pretty bad. But yeah, I do have a cold, young car. I am recovering. I'm slowly getting there. I've still got a bit of sniffles, but I'm all right. I'm all right. Okay. Let's catch up with chat. Love the stream. Thanks for being a UK vendor. No problems, man. Thanks for being here. Sean says, what have you been up to, mate? Started working on my artisans and getting the second half of my mold going. Nice. I heard that CYO had given you a load of stuff, man, so I can't wait to see some stuff from you soon, and hopefully I'll be able to join your first buy. Vonchuk says, hello, so you recommended. Make sure to click on you from followed soon. Thanks, man. Thanks for being here. Thank you. Ross TB says, any thoughts on the Mode 80? I actually built one that I bought. I bought a Mode 80 a while ago, one of the first editions. You can find it on YouTube if you search Top Clack Mode 80. You should be able to find my build stream of that. I give a lot of thoughts in that. I won't cover it here, but the TLDR, the too long didn't read, is probably something along the lines of the first edition was too expensive for what it was. There's a couple of design decisions that I'm not personally a fan of. I don't think the board sounds particularly nice, and I think it was probably priced maybe $200 to $300 more expensive than it should have been. Bear in mind the first edition was the PVD based one, and it was about, I don't know, $700 or $800 or something like that. Go check out the stream for more information. I do break it all down. I talk about how much I paid for the board, what I built it with. You can see there what plate materials, what I thought about some of the mounting systems and things like that. Go check that stream out if you want to watch anything on it. Iwane says, I'm so excited for this board. Soul by Jay by James by Yankar equals dream team. Absolutely, man. Take me off of there and it's still a dream team. Thanks, Jemport. Thanks, Yankar. I will get well soon. Keyjim says, saw the dog in the snow, so lovely. She loved it. I hated it. I'd probably got myself a cold by that point. But then I had to walk her for the past couple of days in the snow as well. But there. Where I live, we got around 7 inches of snow in total. So when I measured it outside on the table, because I forgot to put my garden furniture away, so I measured it on the table in the garden. It was about 7 inches. So going by that, that's what we have right where I live. She is here as well. He says, sup, Jay? Hey, man. Sean says, that's too kind. I plan on getting a cast done today or early tomorrow. We'll post pictures and give a rundown on what I need to change. Awesome, man. Awesome. Okay, so there we go, guys. That's what we're going to change on the top case. These are going to be cast acrylic instead of extruded acrylic. These, instead of being rubber, it's really difficult to show you these, but these diffusers in here, instead of being rubber, they're going to be cast acrylic as well, which is frosted. Nice laser cut jobs. Dead easy to fit, should be dead simple. We then also have the secondary gaskets which block out light, which go just on these edges here as well, and they just sit underneath this pillar and this pillar. Base of the case, as we said, we've got grooves for alignment on top and bottom, on each corner as well, the logo on the base, and then you can choose to put foam inside or not. It won't include foam, but you can choose to do it if you would like to. And that's the board in a nutshell. So there we go. You guys excited to see how we're going to build it now? Because the next thing you guys need to do is pick the switches we're going to use. So let's set up a poll for that. And we have Merlots. We have alpacas. And we have mauve switches. So you guys now have 5 minutes to pick what switches we're going to use, and that should pop up in Discord, in Twitch for you. So you guys now have a chance to pick what switches we're going to use. We have, as I said, we have the mauve switches, we have the alpaca switches, or we have the Merlot switches. Those are the 3 choices. So I'll let you guys doing that. Super Tactile says, what's the TKL keyboard? This keyboard here is a Geonworks F1 8X, and it's quite possibly the nicest TKL I own, and I own a few TKLs. So there we go. Will you reveal group buy details later on in the stream? I can reveal some, Jampot. We are aiming to do the group buy in late February, early March. That's when we're aiming to do the group buy. That's dependent on a revised prototype and a few other bits and pieces that we just need to check. Also need to sit down with Yankar and talk about how we're going to do the PCBs and a few things like that as well. So we're aiming for to do it then. Prices are yet to be confirmed. So we've got a couple of things we need to do for the prices. We need to do some large-scale cost quotes for PCBs, the cases, everything else. That's all in the works right now, apart from a few things with the PCBs, which I'll speak to Yankar about. We'll announce the pricing at least 2 weeks before. That's the plan. Yeah, we're waiting to just go from there. So Musa writes, no, this is Argyle. This is the Argyle build that we're doing. This is the through-hole keyboard that we're about to build later on today, or in a few minutes, once you guys have picked the switches we're going to use. So please do vote in the poll. That's which switch is now open. You can pick between Merlot, alpacas, and Morves. Socialite, if you want to tell us more about the switches, I can see that they've all been lubed and filmed, but I don't know the details of what they've been lubed or filmed with. So if you guys want to know that information, you'll have to DM Socialite. So there we go. Sounds great, mate. Defo putting some cash aside for this one. Awesome gem port. Bear in mind that when I do release figures and numbers for the group buy, if you're in the UK, you will have to pay VAT. So it will be slightly more expensive. But yeah, bear that in mind. But of course, everyone who's in the UK knows that they have to pay VAT because that's just the way things are here in the UK. Yes, the Merlots are linear. Isn't it pronounced mauve rather than mauve? Well, I don't know. I'm from the UK. Mauve is how I would say it. I think mauve is the EU version. I don't know. Wow, trying to get Soul's DMs overloaded. Yeah, well, mine are often overloaded, so yeah. Fleximan says, my company buy a lot of keyboard. Wow. Okay, there we go then. I hope I get into this one. Such a beautiful board based on the IC. Yeah, well, this is the board from the IC. This is the actual prototype that I built originally. You might have seen some pictures on this very desk in the interest check. So there we go. I don't know what a keyboard is. I'm pretty sure you know what a keyboard is, right? I'm pretty sure. Why is the music stopped? What's happening with that? There we go. Let's start that up again. Oh, sorry, someone asked about the mouse pad. In fact, a couple of people does. So Lumpia Princess, this is actually the Great Wave mouse pad. This was run by Canon Keys. You can see up here. I actually bought this from mykeyboard.eu just before Christmas in their sale. They had like a pre-Christmas sale. I bought it then. But this is the Great Wave desk mat. It's really, really nice. It's one of my favorite bluish desk mats. And I'm a big, big fan of it. Yeah, it's really nice. Hamdawadi says, also, your beard has gone a wham, lad. Yeah, my beard is huge now. Hold on, if I flick over to the other camera, you can see the beard in all its majesty. I was often worried that I couldn't grow a beard because I thought it'd be really patchy on the sides. Turns out I was wrong. It grows in pretty thick. So yeah, the beard is getting there. It does need a trim though. It does need a slight trim. So I'll get to the barbers early next year. Early next month when lockdown ends, hopefully. Socialite, thank you very much. So we've got TX films on the alpacas and Merlot switches. Desky films on the Mauve switches. Alpaca has factory springs. The Mauve and the Merlot have 68-gram slow springs, all lubed with 205 grade 0 and 105 grade 0 mix. Okay, there we go. Thank you very much. Okay, you've got about a minute left. It looks like the Merlots are winning by a significant margin, so we'll keep them to one side because I think they're going to win. Muzure says, looking good, Jay. Thank you much, man. Thank you very much. Hamdawadi checking out the gear. Yeah, that's my gear. I just put that in there for fun. That was a new command I added the other day just for fun. Because why not, right? Why not? Okay, so Merlots did win. Flexman contributed 200 bits to that. Thank you very much, Flex. Flex, you're killing me today, man. Thank you so much, dude. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that. Okay, the coffee's really cold now, so I'm going to put that to one side. We're probably not going to drink any more of that. Jay, I'm here to get my weekly OGR update. I don't know how many times I need to tell you that you're banned, but hopefully this will be the last one. Procrastinating here. Only have an exam in 3 days. Get to revising, man. Get some revision done. Go on, you can do it. You can do it. Okay, right. So, time to build the board. So we're going to go with the POM plate that I literally just cut right before the stream today. And we're also going to go with the stabilizers here. Let me put this to one side, make sure I don't knock anything on the floor. Okay, the first job is to lube the stabilizers. The second job is to then just make sure we've got these aligned. I did take these off of another PCB, so I'm just going to make sure that those are aligned in the correct spots. We'll use the top case to make sure we do that once we've got the stabilizers in. Okay. The only camera I have, these are V1 stubs, Adam. These are V1 stubs. I don't have any V2s yet. I believe mechboards.co.uk has Merlots in. I don't know about in the EU though. That's only in the UK that I'm aware of. Yeah, the Sony Ace. Well, the A600 series are really, really good, but they're not cheap. They're not cheap. So I use 6400s. I've got two. This is one camera and this is the other. They're both 6400s, both the same camera. There's some slight differences. Actually, this is an earlier model camera just above, and it has some slight differences in terms of the knobs and the firmware settings. And then we have a newer 6400 for the face cam as well. A64 is great, nice autofocus. Yeah, when it works, there you go. That's pretty close to the camera. You can see how close it is there. But the autofocus does work really well. What lens am I using? I'm just using the standard one. It's a 16-50 OSS lens. I use the same lens on both of the cameras. No need for a different lens here. I do have a couple of other lenses that I use for macro shots. Yeah, macro shots, but they're, it's few and far between when I need to use those. So certainly don't need them for streaming. Just the standard 16-50mm lens. Okay, let's make sure we've got enough stabilizers here. So we need 3 stabilizers. We need 1 for the ANSI enter. We need 1 for left shift, and then we need 1 for the spacebar. So I'm just going to lube these in my style here. So we're just going to put the stabilizers together first. We're going to put the inserts into the housings. Then we're going to lube the wires. And then once we've lubed the wires, we're going to put the wire into the inserts inside the housings. And then once we've done that, we'll lube the slider rails as well. But you'll see as I do it, guys. You'll see as I go through it. Okay. Can I buy your old Brio? Well, you could, Gio, but the Brio is actually going to go into the 3D printing cabinets. That's where I want it to go. So I have one old camera that's in one of them at the minute, and the Brio is going to go in. The Brio is actually still here on top of my monitor, but it is going to go in to one of those. So if you want to buy me a Logitech C910 or something similar, and then give me the difference, then that's another option we could do. And then you can have the Brio. But yeah, it's nicer having 2 DSLRs for streaming than it is using the Brio for one camera. It just means better picture quality on both sides. And it also means that when we're doing the weekly streams with Brian, I don't need to change my overhead camera around. Because previously I was using that for the face cam for those streams, and then it for the overhead shots for build streams. So I don't need to change cameras anymore. They're just all set up in the right place. Chelna Cook, this is not my board. This is for the actual guy behind the board, the guy that commissioned Prototypist to design this board for him. This is Socialite's board, and we're building it to his specification. So we're building it as ANSI. Well, technically it's Sangan, but it's ANSI enter with split backspace, 7U bottom row. Okay, now we've installed the wires, we're just going to really lightly lube the slider rails just to make sure everything's nice and smooth. Don't need to add any more lube just yet. There's still a fair bit on the brush, so we're just spreading it out nice and thin. Reminder, this is just to make things smooth at this point. We're not adding tons of lube. Then just into the back where the stabilizer wire pops out the back, I'm just going to put another drop of lube in there as well, and that's just to make sure that everything is rattle free. Okay, on to the next one. Split everything, ANSI enter is the way forward. Split enter is actually really good as well. I'm actually a big fan of split enter because it's the same whether you're an ISO user or an ANSI user. It's the same thing to get used to. If you split the enter, it gives you exactly the same results. So yeah, split enter. The only thing I don't like split is space. Give me a 7U spacebar any day of the week. Keep Noob says, Argyle, hey Jay. Hey man, good to see you, dude. Good to see you. Okay. Yeah, we're building the Argyle Prototype today. We're just lubing up the stabilizers, and then once we've done this, we'll start to make sure that the gaskets needed on the board to prevent light leakage are in the right place. And then we'll go from there. No, this says, ah yes, the proper layout. Yeah, split everything, enter as well, split enter and do the whole kit and caboodle. Okay, on to the final stabilizer now. I thought both ANSI and ISO were split from the OG big ass sensor. That's true. There were two different variations of how to split the big ass sensor, and both of them were designed by IBM originally. Now they've just been adopted by different people around the world in different ways. So the US uses ANSI and the UK uses ISO, and that's basically because that's just what they certified as the right choice for them through their respective governing bodies. But you can split both ANSI and ISO enter again, and you end up with the same option. So for example, if you split ANSI enter, it means that you have a 1.25U and a 1U key here, and then you have the secondary key there. Now on ISO, which is here, you split the ISO enter this way. So you've already got the 1U, and then you have a 1.25U, and then the same 1.5U as the ANSI pipe key. So you can have three keys there, and both ways that you split the enter key give you the same result. So you can split down enter even further. Some really old keyset group buys used to support this. Modern ones not so much. The first keyset I remember supporting it, and I could be wrong on this, but the first one I recall supporting it was SA Calm Depths, and that was actually the way I built my first custom keyboard that I built from scratch, with split enter and SA Calm Depths. No 7U spacebar in the physics, unfortunately. Yeah, I've just lent my physics out to a friend, actually. He's trying it out at the minute and should be shipping it back in a few days. But yeah, no 7U spacebar in the physics. What board key set is on your desk? Looks great. So this one is the polycarbonate LZST. There's only two of those boards exist. This is one of them, and that's GMK Analog Dreams. This is the F18X by Geonworks, and this has got Solarized Dark on it, GMK Solarized Dark. ANSI usually has full left shift, if I remember correctly. It does, yes. But you can split that, of course, as well. Split everything. Mod all the tildes. Watch everyone's head explode. Absolutely. Penguin dropping says my head exploded. Please don't say that, Penguin. You're one of the people that keeps me sane in this hobby. Actually, no, I take that back. You're not one of the people that keeps me sane in this hobby, because you're the person that made me do the JO1 Rev1 group buy. So I take that back. I take that back in full, in its entirety. Right, okay. Stabilizers all lubed. Didn't know split enter was a thing. It tends not to be these days. It just was something that was an option historically. It still can be done these days, but not all keysets support it, and not all designers support it as well. But yeah, it's still an option sometimes. If you get 40s kit, sometimes you can make it work with a base kit, a GMK base kit. Yeah. Okay, we're just going to screw in these stabilizers now. And remember, guys, when you are screwing in stabilizers, remember you're not trying to crush the PCB. You're just trying to hold the stabilizer in place. So once you get to tight, just go a quarter turn more, and then that should be enough. Don't want to crush the PCB and break the PCB or damage your stabilizer in over tightening it. Oh, gosh. I didn't realize that was you, Hamza. I didn't realize that was you. Hamdawadi is Hamza. Okay, I lent it to him. There we go. I didn't realize that was you, dude. Sorry. This is where you have different usernames in different spaces, and I'm not aware. I need to stop going by my government name in Discord. Absolutely. Neon Ninja says, we're going to look to get some Durex switches, but they come factory lubed. But I was looking to lube them myself. Should they be cleaned from factory lube, or is it just a case okay to apply Quitex 205 directly over it? Like, you can apply directly over it if you want to. It's not necessarily a bad thing to do that. You just have to bear in mind that it's not going to feel as clean as if you did clean them yourself. The way to clean them is to dismantle them, put them in an ultrasonic cleaner, and that should clean off most of the residue. I usually put it through for 2 cycles. One cycle is to clean them with a detergent in there as well, and then the second cycle is with no detergent in the water, to just clean them off of all of the detergent as well, and then I lube them. You can just lube over the top if you really want to. A lot of people do that, and it should be okay. Try both and see how you feel. The Argyle has not had a group buy at the moment, no. The project was delayed last year due to COVID and a number of changes in the industry and in my personal life, as well as a few other people's personal lives, so no. But we are getting back on track, and the group buy will be very soon. Socialite and I just need to hash out some final details together, and then we need to hash out some details with Yankar, and then we'll get the group buy underway. So we're aiming for late February, early March for that. Porcupine is here. He says, hi Jay, how are you, bro? I'm good, man, thanks. Sorry I missed a couple of streams recently, been a busy bee. That's no worries, man. I hope you enjoyed whatever was keeping you busy, man. Okay, last screw here. Japanitrite is here as well. He says, good evening. Hey man, good to see you. Ross TB says, have you ever seen a layout that puts the round and square bracket keys in an easy to reach location? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Like, you mean the curly brackets and the square brackets? Do you mean those 2 keys next to P? Is that the 2 keys you mean? Like, you can put them on a layer if you want. You could add them onto a layer, so you could do FN and put them on H and J if you wanted, something like that. So just rounded brackets. So they're on 9 and 0 on ANSI and ISO layouts. So it depends on what you want, to be honest. You could try 40% and have a much smaller board and then map them to wherever you think best. That's something you can do. Shudderpat is here as well. He says, hello. Hey man, good to see you. Okay, let's test and make sure that this plate fits. Look at that. Pom plate, cut in a rush just before the stream. Fits perfectly. Okay, so next job before we do anything further is just to make sure that these gaskets are lined just underneath the edge. So this is the gasket here. This stops light bleed from these LEDs coming back into the case. So we just want to make sure it's under the edge of the PCB. So we're just going to do that now. That's looking okay from that side. This side's just slightly off. So we're just going to peel that back a little bit and then relay it in position. And this is something that we'll probably add to the PCB with guide marks on. Yanka, I'm sure we can arrange that just to make sure people know where to apply them as well. So there we go. That's how the plate and PCB assembly are going to go. The next job now is to pop in switches and then solder the board together. No projected pricing as of yet, Super Tactile. We will see where we can get it to. Oh yes, of course. Cianthia is on 8 and 9 on Nordic ISO. You're absolutely spot on. I misspoke when I said it's there on ISO. I meant on UK ISO. I do apologise. You are absolutely correct. Nordic ISO is slightly different from that perspective. Okay, I'm just going to put a few switches in on each row here, just to make sure we've got them all nicely aligned. Again, we have the benefit of using a POM plate here, so it's really super flexible, which means that we can make sure the switches are in perfectly. One Drunk Man's here, says hi. Hey man, good to see you. Faisal's here as well. Ross TB says, I once saw a layout that had the bracket keys in the center, but I think it was autolinear. Yeah, there are some boards that have done that in the past. I think, was it called the Katana 60? Had them in the center. I think that was a 60% that had them in the center, if I remember rightly. Happy to be proven wrong on that. These are Merlot switches, One Drink Man, Merlot switches. Porcupine says, I recently ordered some tactile FFFF switches. Hopefully they're decent. I haven't tried them myself, but I've heard good things. So let me know how you get on with them. Good morning to Switch Dr. AU. Good morning, man. I hope you're doing well over there in Australia. How is it in the future? Is the world still in 2020 mode, or has it changed? Sangan, Gilbert. Sangan, not ANSI. Sangan. I've been corrected twice for saying ANSI layout today. It's technically Sangan. So yeah, because we're doing split backspace as well. Also, Plexus 75, XD60, Boardwalk all have the layout, but with QMK anything is possible. Absolutely true. With QMK everything is possible. Correct. Shadow Pat says, is there much snow up north still? It's mostly gone as of today. It was pretty bad yesterday, and it was really bad on Thursday and Friday, but it's pretty much all gone now. I'm in a much better position. I'm able to travel. I was able to get up to the workshop, which is where I am now. This is the prototypist lockup workshop, whatever you want to call it. That's where I'm based right now. What do all the diodes on the left and right columns do? So I'll show you. So this is very similar to boards like Gingham by Yankar in the fact that it's a through-hole board. So you can see all of the components that control the board. All of the diodes are the diodes for the switches. So instead of having the diodes in the switches on the back, this is all flush. There is no diodes on the back. The diodes are all down the center, as are the controllers, the ICs, and everything else. So you can see exactly how the board's working. Porcupine says, do you have any shipping issues from the EU due to Brexit? I don't have any issues from the EU, and I don't have any issues in the EU at the minute. Like, I can still ship. There are some challenges around customer orders from 2020, and basically the way of dealing with that is that I ship everything that was ordered in 2020 as duties and taxes paid, so the customers don't see any difference. I get the bill instead of them getting the bill for duties and imports, basically. Sadly, I can't claim that back, and it's a loss to the business, but it's the right thing to do for customers. In terms of 2021 sales and shipping, right now on the site, EU customers don't pay VAT on the store, but they might pay it on import. But as of next week, the middle of next week, the new system should be available where they can pay their VAT up front as part of the sale. So it's basically the same as what it would have been back last year, where they just pay the import fees at the time of sale, and it's all correct, and they don't get any more import fees when they ship. So yeah, it means a lot more work for me in the back end, but it's the right thing to do for customers. So I just want to make it as easy as possible for everyone to be able to get what they've ordered and not have to pay any additional fees. COVID isn't affecting shipping at the minute. But given the fact that there's more variations, the South African variant and everything else that's cropped up, and the fact that people are still waiting for their vaccinations, there may be some impacts in the future. I don't know how that's going to be. We'll see. We will see. For the most part, Brexit doesn't affect the vast majority of things. The biggest thing it affects is sales to EU customers. Like everywhere else in the world, it just carries on as normal. There is a bigger impact to people in the UK buying things from outside of the UK. And by people, I mean individuals, not businesses, because now they have to pay VAT at the time of sale if it's under £135. But then the seller in the rest of the world, so say Novel Keys or My Keyboard or wherever, they have to be then registered for UK VAT in the UK, and they have to charge the customer that and ship it with VAT paid. But that means that they've then got to be VAT registered in the UK as well, which can cause some issues. Just trying to lift the plate up in a couple of places. These switches have been reused from an earlier build, so they're not in the best position, some of the switches. So when I desoldered these off of a board earlier on for Socialite, some of the fronts of the switches have got a little bit of damage, and they're not quite clipping into the plate correctly. So we're just adjusting the plate where we need to make sure everything's correct. Yeah, I wouldn't say I've taken a hit in terms of sales or anything like that. The hit will be in terms of the fact that I'm having to pay VAT for customers who bought last year and paid VAT, which I've already paid to the VAT man. Like I've already paid that bill to the VAT man, but then I'm going to have to send their item as duties and taxes paid. So I then pay the VAT again. That's going to be where I take the loss, but that's fine. Like the best thing for the customer is that I do that, so it's more about what's right for the customer than what's right for me as a business. That's just the way you have to look at these things sometimes. Okay, we've got a slight issue with some of these switches not sitting in correctly. Just slightly twisted. And this could be because I made the plate in a rush. It may not be. Let's just see if we can't fix this. Okay, making sure the plate's getting into the switches correctly. It's just taking me an extra minute or two just to make sure it's all correct. With my trusty pry tool here. There we go. It's feeling better already. Yeah, I think you have to pay VAT up front round for stuff from Ali, etc. Yeah, so the rules are if it's under £135, any seller anywhere in the world that's selling to a UK customer must be registered for VAT in the UK, and they must charge the customer that VAT on the items that they buy. That's for up to £135. That's about €150. It's about $165, I think, something like that. And they have to charge that by law. That's like UK law. If they don't, they will be fined. And they could have some serious problems. Okay. For anything over £135, they don't have to charge VAT, and you'll be charged VAT on import by UK customs and government, customs and excise, as you are last year and as you are today. That's the rule. So under £135, you pay VAT to the company. Over £135, and you pay VAT on import. And the EU brings in that exact same rule from the 1st of July. So if you're in the EU, you'll have exactly the same issue from the 1st of July. We're using Merlot switches, woofer. Does paying VAT on AliExpress, for example, mean I wouldn't be hit with import fees on arrival? So you won't be hit with VAT fees. What you may be hit with is customs and duty. So duty is about 2.5% on keyboard stuff. It varies from item, but you will still end up paying duty. So you won't pay VAT, but you may pay duty. Yeah, so he needs to either refund them that amount, or he needs to send things duties and taxes paid like I'm doing it. So there we go. Mushta says, why the arbitrary cutoff? It just depends. It just depends. The 135 is just what the government's decreed as. It will eventually go to all sales, so above 135 as well. I'm not quite sure when that happens, but that is going to happen at some point. Import charges is kind of independent, yeah. What desk mat is this? This is the Great Wave desk mat. It's made by Canon Keys, but I bought it from mykeyboard.eu. Trying to make sure the plate is correct. This is what happens when you try and cut a plate. I think it's a fraction of a millimeter out, but it's because I cut it at a rush this afternoon. I'll replace it for Socialite before I ship the board back to him. There we go. It's good enough for the build today. Okay, there we go. That is the board all ready to solder. As you can see, all the switches are nice and flush and even on the front edge and the rear edge. So we're all looking good and ready to solder. That does mean, guys, that it's a time where you can ask me a question about anything that you like. So right now we're in free view mode. You guys can ask any question you like. All you need to do is tag me with @TopClack and ask anything you like. So you can ask me anything about keyboards, anything about my personal life, anything about my cars, anything about what I do for a living, anything about what the year holds in store for me. You name it, you can ask me anything you like. Science, math, history, I don't care. You can ask me anything at all that you want to know the answer to. Just tag me with @TopClack and ask away. And you've got the whole time that I'm soldering to ask those questions. The whole time. And while you start getting your questions in, I'm going to open up a drink because I'm really thirsty. Looks great, that board. Thanks, man. Thanks. Subathane. Yeah, that is. I think it's Subathane. I don't have to ask Socialite what it exactly is because it's his board and he sent it back to me with this in. So yeah. How do you keep your desk mat so clean? I just put a new one on my desk every few weeks. That's a really flippant answer, but it is the truth. Okay. Just gonna let that warm up for a second and then we'll crack on with the soldering. Okay, we've got a few questions going in. We're about to start soldering, so let's see what's going on. Whitsellers didn't tag me, but he said, how's the build going? The build's going okay. The plate was cut in a rush just before the stream, so it's not perfect, but it's good enough. It's good enough. I can replace this for Socialite, the owner of the board, before I ship it to him. I usually like to do a test cover plate before I produce it, just to make sure if there's any inaccuracies on it that we've got it sorted and covered. So I'll just double check my settings before I cut another one. Okay. Porcupine says, have you ever tried Zyko switches? I'm in the process of gathering parts to build them. Yes, and I really, really like them. I don't like getting all the parts to build them. And I don't like building them. But once they're done, they're good. They're a pain to put in the board, and the build is usually a pain as well because they're always really tight. But once it's built, they're good switches. I like them a lot. I just keep saying that if I'm going to do it again, I'll actually send my board to Chewy and the switches to Chewy, and I'll let him build them, like all the parts to him, and I'll let him build the switches, and I'll let him build the board because I don't want to go through that again. He invented them; he can build it for me. That's my frame of reference on that one. Okay. Next question comes from Chelnukak. It says, what do you use to cut the plate? I've got a 150 watt laser in the workshop. I use that. It's still the only small one. It's 75 centimeters by 60 centimeters, so it's not a particularly big laser cutter, but it does the job. Vonchuk says, favorite switch and keycap set. Favorite switch, if I have to pick one overall, would be Brown Alps, SKCM Brown Alps tactile ones, because I really, really enjoy them. They're my favourite switch ever, but if you ask me on a different day, I might give you a different answer to that depending on how I'm feeling, so don't take that as verbatim, but right now that's my favourite switch ever. Like, it's so hard. It's like saying what's your favourite bread, because it's going to change weekly as soon as you try something new. In terms of my favourite keycap set, I've got a lot that I really, really like. I think my overall favourite is probably GMK Royal Alpha, which ran a few years ago with the white mods, the original run of it. I have both round 1 and round 2 and the EPBT version. I still prefer GMK round 1. I think if I had to pick any key set, it would probably be that one. But I like a lot of key sets, and I collect a lot of key sets. So, again, I might give a different answer on that at some point in the future if you ask me again. She says, what do I think about James? James is one of the beauties of this hobby. He is someone that he's my closest confidant in the hobby. Like, I tell him things that I don't tell anyone else, and I share all my ideas with him, and, you know, I have a lot of trust, a lot of respect, and a lot of time for James. He's probably my biggest keyboard friend, and he's a good friend in real life as well. MP Spear says, how has the hobby changed now that you're a vendor? I try and keep my enjoyment of the hobby and being a vendor as two separate things. Of course, there's a lot of spillover, and that's not always possible to do. I think I have a greater appreciation for how people run group buys than I did before, and that's just par for the course. I think, like, the more you're involved in projects like this, the more you understand how the pains that other people go through to deliver what they deliver. And I don't have as many customer gripes or complaints as I used to, because I understand it from a different perspective now. Like, I just get things I didn't get before, and I think a lot of people that have really firm feelings on how vendors should act and how vendors should do things might change their minds, not entirely, but they might understand things a little bit differently if they actually had to do that for a living as well. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that's changed. My enjoyment of boards and the boards I buy and everything else, that's probably not changed at all. I still buy just as many boards as I used to, probably even a few more than I used to now, because I want to try and see different things. What's my favourite linear switch? Pass, that's too hard to answer. Like, I don't have an answer to that. I really don't have an answer to that. Lavender switches or Holy Pandas for a full top mount brass plate? Go lavender switches. Holy Pandas will kill your thumbs in a brass plate, and I don't I don't like Holy Pandas in a brass plate. I think Holy Pandas sound best in an aluminium plate personally, but that's just my choice. Super Tactile says, favorite mounting system, whatever the board designers picked. Like, I want to see what the board designers picked for a mounting system. I don't think any one mounting system is better or worse than any other. I think they all have benefits, pros and cons, and you can do a lot with any of them. I think we vastly underestimate how good top mount is, and I think 2021 will be the year we see a lot more top mount boards come back and a movement away from the gasket style boards. And we use gasket as a term too loosely because there's so many different ways and implementations of how gaskets can work. So I'm not really a fan of using the word gasket either, because there's so many different ways they can be interpreted, and they all feel different, they all sound different. So yeah, I think mounting style. Yeah, I want to experience whatever the designer intended for the board, and I think for 2021 we'll see the return of top mount boards. That's my gut feel. That's my gut feel right now. Okay, how did you learn to set up all the sound settings for your stream? Trial and error, man. Trial and error. I started out with just 2 random cameras that were USB cameras, and I used sound from them, and then I gradually upgraded until I got the Rode NT, which is what I use today for sound, and just tried new things. Spent a lot of time in Streamlabs OBS just recording small clips of different sounds and trying to get them as close to what the room and environment I'm in as possible is, so the sounds sound as accurate as they do to me here in the room, and just spent a lot of time on it. I think that's the only way you can get any reasonable sound setup in place. What hobby did you have before cars, keyboards, and watches? Video games. I've always played video games. Always have done. I like to collect vintage consoles. I probably have like 20 or 30 of them. That was something I did straight out of high school and into college, was collect things like that. So I would say video games and collecting vintage systems was probably my biggest hobby before cars and keyboards. I've always been a huge fan of coffee, but I've only really recently got into making it as good as I can myself at home. That's probably a 2020 thing for me. Before that, it was always a case of work out which coffee shop was the best in the nearby area. Watches is kind of something, I wouldn't say I really have it as a hobby. I just have a few different ones and I like them. Simple as that. What kind of dog do you have? He's super cute. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. She's we don't know is the real answer. She's a rescue dog that we got 3 or 4 years ago. We got her from Yorkshire Dogs Trust. She'd been a stray for a while. We know she's got some Jack Russell in her, but she's basically a mixed cross terrier. We think she's about 3 or 4 different things mixed together, but we don't know is the honest answer. So yeah, a cross terrier of some type. Yeah, she's super cute. Although she was really frustrating today. One stock you'd recommend for 2021? Got any investments in Europe? Oh man, like stocks, that's not something I'm willing to talk about on here. I do have some investments, but I work for a bank, so what I invest in is heavily influenced by my day job. Not because I've got any insider information or anything like that, just because I like to know certain things and dabble in certain things. Just making sure these switches are in properly. A couple of these switches just not quite in properly here. There we go. Okay. Okay, so yeah, stocks and shares is not something I should really discuss on here. I do have some in the company I work for, but I have some other ones as well. Is a bread bowl a sandwich? No, it depends on what you're putting in it. If you're putting liquid in it, no, it's a bowl. If you put soup in there, it's a bowl. If you put just ham and cheese and melt it, then yeah, it's a sandwich. It's just a big ass sandwich. So it depends entirely on the filling. It depends on context. Context is key. Where can I get that case to go with the PCB I have? You can't as yet, Bled. You know that. Soon. Favorite keyboard you've sold or designed? I have never designed a keyboard. Let me put that straight. I'm not a designer. I don't have any aspirations to be a designer. I just have ideas, and I get people who are smarter and better than me to make those ideas into something that I can go and have made. My favorite keyboard that I've worked on is the JO1, the original one, and the Rev one as well. But that's just my personal favorite that I've worked on, because that was designed for, well, it wasn't designed by me, but the whole idea was by me, and yeah, the implementation of it and how it worked and stuff, it was all my ideas, but it was created by some people far smarter than me in the CAD software. Prelio says, what's your opinion on Topra? Better than MX Tactile? Better than MX Tactile, not as good as Alps Tactile. That's probably where I'd put it. Thoxum says, are you enjoying yourself and what are you doing? Do you ever just hate it and feel like it's just a job and also not fun and satisfying? So for my day job, I've kind of felt a little bit like that for the past year or so. But the news is that I will be leaving my day job soon and semi-retiring. I'm going to do keyboard stuff on the side, still keep Prototypist running, but I'll be technically retired from the day job. So I'm going to be semi-retired as of the middle of April this year. And we'll spend some more time than we do now on Prototypist, and we'll do a few other things as well. I want to start learning how to make my own furniture. That's something I absolutely want to do. So that's something that we might do later this year as well. Master Case says, can you be my keyboard friend? Always. Just DM me if you ever want to chat. What on earth are you doing with an anti-TKL? The only plate I have for this is ANSI TKL. I'm going to get an ISO plate cut and it will be changed. Don't worry. Don't worry. It will happen. It will happen. The Argyle is fairly simple to build. I mean, the only issue I've had with this build today is the fact that I cut this plate on my laser cutter in a rush right before the stream, so it's not quite right. It's slightly off. I'll show you guys what I mean by that in a second. And it's just a couple of things in the settings that I need to tweak and change. Normally I'd do a test cut before I started to do a production run. I haven't even tested this. I just grabbed the file, shoved it in the machine and let it cut. So it's got a couple of issues that just need fixing. That's been the hardest part of this build, and that will obviously go away before it goes to group buy. The rest of the board is dead easy to build. If you can solder, you can put this board together. And if you can't solder, you can always hot swap it. So you could put in mil-max sockets, or you could pop in hole tights, or whatever you wanted. Okay. MP Spears says, have you ever tried the Copra mod? No, I've never tried that. What is that? Tell me what it is. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about it. What's a good key to remap the Windows key to one of Win keyless? I put it on Windows, so I put it on Alt and L. So the Windows key for me is Alt and L. But your mileage may vary, and you may prefer to do something different. Shadowpat says, lifetime supply of Iron Brew and coffee, or never pay for switches for the rest of your life. I'd take the coffee, man. Like I spend a lot of money every month on coffee, probably more than I do on switches for me personally. Do you know any blue and white artisans, or is that not your thing? Man, I love artisans. Like, I have a lot of artisans. I have about a third of my collection here, I think. Maybe close to half. So I have a lot of artisans. Like, just for reference, this is just what I have on hand right now that I can pull out in trays. So that's just what I have to hand, right? You know, like, yeah, I like artisans. There are lots of artisans that are doing blue and white. So yeah, you need to pick a sculpt and then go from there, or a maker and go from there. Actually says, big love to you, Jay. Glad to have caught for a bit today. Thanks, man. Thanks for being here. Thank you. Oh, and that, yeah, I love that board. It's a great board. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Hopefully you'll enjoy the change of pace. Thanks, man. I hope so too. Like, my big hope is that 2021 is a bit of a revelation for me. Instead of being an office monkey, I actually can make stuff. Like, the key thing I want to do this year is just make stuff with my hands. Like, just physically have something that comes out of these two hands, and that's the plan for this year. That's the plan. Okay. Why are you not a tea person? I don't know, man. I've just never liked tea. I've always been about coffee. Just never really liked tea. I'm not showing off my artisans. You got enough of a glimpse earlier on. Someone will go and screenshot it all, I'm sure, and work out what I have here, and then ask me what else I've got. Nerdy says, want to trade Borrelia Sirius for your Phantom Kipura? No. Not yet. Maybe at some point. We'll see. We'll see. MP Spear says, Copra is taking the rubber layer from the infamous Cope cardboard, cutting it out and placing it between the top of the switch and the keycap. Gives you a Topra-like feeling. You have to use very light springs though. Haven't tried it. If you have a board with it on, I'd love to try it. Some of the Zartans look like truffles, especially in those cases. Yeah, absolutely. That Kipura tray, that's about half my Kipuras. I have another tray full at home as well of different ones. Can you help me put a better turbo on my Defender? Tom, if you come here with your Defender and you bring the kit, we can absolutely do that in the workshop. Like, I will 100% help you do that. You just need to bring it here. Yeah. Ali says, what do you do for your day job? I'm coming out of uni and looking into fintech. Interested if you work in that space of banking. Yes. So my day job is I'm a program manager stroke product owner, senior product owner for a fintech in the UK. My job for the last 4 or 5 years has been large, heavy industrial scale projects of delivering new infrastructure, new technologies, and the supporting software, hardware, processes, procedures, and everything else that goes behind that into the company that I work for. That's been across the 3,000-ish branches and head offices that we have in the UK, as well as a couple worldwide. It's included developing a whole on-net network of Wi-Fi, so wherever you go in any of those locations around the country, you are connected to the same network over the same Wi-Fi connection, and it's on net, so it has to be company access, and it's got all of the rules and everything else that you can imagine behind it. Implementing customer Wi-Fi as well into all of those locations, doing things like buying 100,000 iPads and having those shipped out to all the branches so the customers can use them face to face, rehashing all the rear internal infrastructure, so all of the kind of server equipment and cabinets and everything else the branches use, making sure that we can do mobile branches so you can have a branch on wheels that can go out of there. I've done a ton of stuff over the past few years, like an absolute ton of stuff. The whole way in which our outlets work now is completely different to how they were 5 or 6 years ago when I took the job on that I have right now. My job is very much as a senior program manager stroke product owner. I cannot code. I'm not a developer. I just absolutely love being able to deliver large scale projects. So these are multi-million pound until it's almost like tens of 20s millions of pounds plus per program of work, and I manage multiple streams of that. I had a team of the highest over 1,000 people at its average, probably about 300 people doing this work for me, and kind of like we've just transformed the way the company I work for works from that perspective over the past few years. So that's been my job, but that's all done now, and I'm actually waiting to be made redundant, which is good because it means I can free up more time to spend on Prototypist, and I will leave the company in April of this year. So there we go. Shiba Cube says, Coffee Gang, absolutely. Peebles says, keyboards have shown me I have choice paralysis. I keep trying every switch under the sun, but nothing clicks as something I love. I wish there was a switch that would just buy to be my love and I could stop with this FOMO. I know you have a bigger collection than most people. Ever felt that way? Yes and no. Like, I try a lot of switches and they're okay, but for me, a switch can feel different in a build. It's not about trying switches on their own in isolation on a switch tester. It's about putting them in a board and seeing how they work from you. And the beauty of this hobby is that if you don't like it, you can just buy another PCB and rebuild it with a different switch. Like, you can just change it if you want. You can desolder it and rebuild it, or you can get a hotspot board and you can try 100 different switches. You know, you don't have to have the same thing. And most things hold their value. So if you dislike the board and the switches and the keycaps you've got, you can probably sell it for close to what you paid for it and buy something else. And that's the beauty of the hobby for me. Ross TV says, are you a developer? No, I'm not.
Ooh, very nice.
Thank you very much, Puncher Frido. Subscribe for 5 months on a streak of 5 months. Says, wait, I came in late. Did you say you're leaving your fintech job this year? Yes. As of April, the middle of April this year, I will no longer have a day job. Yes. You're an absolute madman is what you are. Thanks, man, I guess. Fintech is a hot field. Yeah, I absolutely loved what I did up until about 18 months ago. And then something kind of changed in the company, and the level of accountability and responsibility I had kind of dropped because of the way that the company was investing. So they were happy with how we transformed the way that the networks and everything else worked over the past few years, and they thought that it was now time to invest in projects that are discretionary spend for something else. So a lot of what I wanted to do and what was on my roadmap of things to do couldn't then happen, and we had to kind of really scale back what we were doing and change it, and then we've kind of just about finished that work now. So it's been a really interesting few years, but the peak of excitement for me was about 3 years ago, and that's when I was doing what I really loved. Japanese chat says, what did I do before I got that fintech gig? So I've worked for the company I work for now for 16 years. 16 years. I got into projects about 2008. Before I was a program manager, which has been the last 5 or 6 years, I used to be a project manager, and I was just doing smaller bit parts, and I was just gradually working my way up the ladder, as it were, the corporate ladder, I guess you could say. Before that, I worked just in the company taking customer phone calls and dealing with customer complaints and things like that. And before that, before I worked at the bank, I used to have my own pub, and that was my first job out of college. I had my own pub. So yeah, that's pretty much my working history. What's the watch? The watch is an about vintage 1971 model. If the camera decides to focus, hold on, I might have to stand up to get this to focus on. It's the 1971 model. It's Swiss and it's automatic. Do you like working in the finance in general? Yes and no. The size of the company I work for gives me a lot of opportunity to do a lot of different things, and I've done a lot of different things. I've been involved in over 100 projects, programs of work. I've changed the way that the company actually works on a fundamental level, and I've seen a lot of stuff and understand how a lot of stuff works. So yeah, I like working it from that perspective. I don't like the customer side of it, so I'm really glad that I think it was like 2007, 2008 when I moved away from customer facing jobs, and I'm really glad that I took that choice when I did. What was the name of the pub? The pub was the Old Bridge Inn in Kirkstall in Leeds. It's right by the river, and at this sort of time of year, if we had really heavy snowfalls, the river would come and flood the beer garden. You can actually check the name of it with Kirkstall, Kirkstall. Let me put it in chat. Kirkstall Old Bridge Inn. There you go. If you search that, you probably find a picture of it. Let me see if I can find a picture of the pub I used to run. Yeah, so it's right there. This link here. This is actually the pub that I used to run. There you go. 2000, late 2002 to 2004 is when I was running it. I think no, 2003 to 2000, late 2004. Just under 2 years. And here you can see a picture of the beer garden that used to flood when we had really heavy rainfalls. In fact, there's a picture of a time. I think this. I know the guys in this picture. I won't share their names. I know the guys in this picture where you can see that the oh, why is that not pasting? Those people in that picture there, I know those folks, and yeah, that might have been when I was actually there. I'm not sure. We'd have to see. Let me see. Oh, so that was a long time after I worked there. That was like that was only 4 or 5 years ago. I didn't know that guy owned it now. Actually, okay, interesting. Okay, so the guy on the right, I used to know he was there. He was called John, and the guy on the left is Steve, who actually owns the pub now, or he did a few years ago. But yeah, the beer garden used to flood quite a lot. Yeah, man, that brings back some memories. Wow. Oh, guys, you guys are taking me on a whole kind of like historic view here. All right, apparently as of last year, it even flooded last year. So yeah, it was one of those things. Anyway, there we go. That was what I used to do. I didn't create the pub. No, the pub was already there. I'd actually been working there for a long time as just bar staff, and at one point the landlord just left, and the company that owned the pub that put the landlords in place just asked me if I wanted to do it, as I was the longest serving member of staff at that point. So I said yes. But I worked there for a long time, just as like a student and everything else. So yeah. 11 out of 10 building, would live above. Yeah, I did live above it for a while. It's a nice little flat just above there. Yeah, it brings back some real memories. Yeah, I miss that place. I haven't been in probably 8 or 9 years now, but the pub's still there. My mum actually used to live until she passed away, bless her soul. She actually used to live like 10 minutes away from here, like literally 10 minutes away. So yeah. Anyway, Driving Maple 05 says, what sort of foam would you recommend for me to buy to put inside my keyboard? Would it just be fine to buy some sheets off Amazon for like £10, or is there something better I should be looking at? So it depends on what you want. Like if you want to put it on the inside like this, look for some Sorbothane or something similar like that. You can use sound deadening for inside cars and things as well if you want, but maybe try a few bits and pieces and don't stick them in first. Just test them and see how you like the sound. Okay, right, so just to show you guys what was the issue with the plate. So this plate I cut on the laser cutter right before the stream. Didn't have a chance to check any of the measurements or anything. I just dropped the file in and cut it, and it's actually slightly too big. It's like a fraction of a millimeter too large this way, and like I can feel that just on this edge. It's probably 0.1 of a millimeter out, which just means some of the switches aren't quite clipped in as nicely as they should be. And it's something I'm just going to have to fix very quickly in the file before I actually ship this over to Socialite. So I'll desolder this, cut another one, and resolder it together. It's just a dead easy fix, but yeah. Anyway, Merlot switches, yes, Rabbit Sensei, these are Merlot switches. We've all soldered it together. Now the next job is to put the keyboard together. So we're going to pop this over. We are going to install the plate on the inside of the case, just like so. We're going to gently, in fact, we're going to have to put it in the right way, Jay. Grow up, man. Put things in the right order. Okay. Okay, so that's now installed in the right position. The next job is to grab a screwdriver and put these in place. Now we need a Torx bit, I think. I need that one, I think. Let me check. At least it only fits one way. Yeah, it does, yeah. I was just being a bit of a silly Billy and putting it the wrong way. Okay, we need a smaller one than that. This is the problem with having like 30 screwdrivers in a rack. Okay, there we go. Again, apologies, Socialite. I didn't even have a chance to test this plate for fitment before we built this. I literally just pulled it off the laser cutter, rinsed it under the tap. Normally I put them into the ultrasonic cleaner for 20 minutes to clean them off. Didn't even have a chance to do that, so it's not perfect, but I will make a perfect one for him later on. How does POM compare to polycarbonate? So POM is slightly bit more muted. It's a little bit softer in terms of its feel and sound. Is my honest view on it. It absorbs sound a little bit differently, and I prefer it to PC. I think PC just gives a little bit more clack, and POM is a little bit, slightly bit more muted than that. But of course, we're talking minute differences here, guys. It's also easier to cut and cheaper to cut because you don't need to CNC mill it. Okay. Now that's all in place. The next job to do is put the bottom case on, and then we're just going to screw this all together, and then we'll be good to go. We've got the larger screws for the back. I'll just nip it all together nicely. Small screws for the front. Do I have access to the NK65 plate files? No, I don't believe so. In terms of sound, say for example I'm using PC right now and it has a slight plasticky sound to it. Does POM alleviate that? Or is it a similar, just a little bit more muted? It still sounds like a plastic plate would do. It doesn't have any ping like a metal plate does. So you just need to bear that in mind when you're using it. Workshop dog was very, not naughty today, she was just really needy. I'm not sure what was wrong with her, but she just constantly wanted attention, wanted to be on my lap. I don't mind that, but it was like, she was like knocking like my coffee out of my hands while I was trying to drink it earlier on today and stuff like that, which was a little bit frustrating. But yeah, I don't know what was up with her. We think there's some building work happening nearby. We think maybe a noise was just causing a discomfort or something that we couldn't hear that she could. Okay, there we go. And that's the board all put together. So you can see now, you can see all of the components on the sides underneath the glass pieces, the cast acrylic there, looking good. The Merlot switches look great on this PCB. POM plate visible as well. Try and get a bit of a close-up on this for you guys. How good does that look? So there we go. Yeah, I'm experimenting with different types of nylon at the minute. I've got about 5 or 6 different types of nylon I'm experimenting and cutting myself. The only problem is it really smells when you cut it, so yeah. What are artisan makers you would recommend? Gosh, man, there's so many. I like so many different artisan makers. It's been impossible for me to go through them all. I absolutely adore Brobots and things like that. So you could look at those. They're from Brocaps. But yeah, there's so many good makers. Alpha Keycaps makes Kipuras. Absolutely love Johan. He's a really nice guy. Andy, the guy behind CYO Caps. Taylor behind CYO Caps. He's really nice. The Archetype guys do a great job. There's just so many great artisan makers out there. ETF. I collect a lot of ETF caps. Yeah, there's just so many good artisan makers out there. Man, it's so long since I've used DCS. I've forgotten how much I enjoyed it. Sounds like my dog all the time. She's very needy. She's a pup. Yeah, our dog's not usually like this. So it's a change in behaviour, which usually means that something is wrong. Just need to sit down with her and try and understand what that is. Gonna try taking her up to the workshop, bring her here tomorrow, see how she handles that. But we think, as I say, it's some local building work that's going on. It's probably just causing a little bit of discomfort or distress. But we'll see how we get on. We'll see how we get on. She's too cute to be mad at for long anyway. Way too cute. Okay. Okay. Looks sweet. Thanks, man. Looks great. Red alert is the only choice. Yeah, I mean, Socialite wanted me to put red alert on this, and it looks great. I'll show you guys it up close in a minute. Is there anything that even compares to carbon fiber plastic wise? Not really. Not really. Like, carbon fiber is very distinct just because of the way it's made. Oh, I've put the wrong keys out. It's fine. It's fine. We know that's the wrong way around. That's fine. I think the closest you could get would be probably FR4. Okay, guys, and there we go. That is the Argyle all put together. How nice does that look? All visible in the sides here are the components. How nice does that look? Big fan of the way this board looks. Huge fan of the logo on the back. Just crying out for some infill. Nice side profile, just a chunky rectangle. You can see it sits flat like this, sloped on the sides. with red infill, we'll be saying, yeah, I'll let Socialite pick how he wants to do that. This is the original prototype, the first prototype we had made, so I'll let him pick exactly how he wants to do that. But how good does that look? How much does it weigh? It's not massively heavy. Let me see if I've got some scales to hand. Give me 1 second, guys. Do I have my scales to hand? They may be out in the workshop. No, they're here. So the idea is that this isn't a particularly heavy board. So in grams, this weighs 1.788 kilograms. For those of you in the US, that's 3.15 pounds. So yeah, 3.15 pounds. Or just under 1.8 kilograms fully built. With the GMK keycaps, it might be slightly heavier because these are DCS keycaps. So yeah, there you go. I hope that's helpful. Really excited to see it with the lights on. Yeah, should we try and put the lights on? No price estimate as yet. We're still working on a lot of details for the group buy. Pricing should be available a couple of weeks before the group buy runs. Hopefully my cable will reach. There we go. So there you go, guys. You can configure the lights. They are RGB. You can configure them to how you like. At the moment, we've got red on one side and then blue-green on the other. And as you can see, it's nicely diffused across. The camera picks it up a little bit brighter in places, but it is really nicely diffused across the outside as well. So there you go, guys. As I say, we will have replacement diffusers for this shortly. So the glass panels are going to be pressure fit. They're going to be secured by friction. And then on the insides, the diffusers we're using at the moment are Gaskets diffusers. They're basically rubber that's slightly translucent. They're going to be replaced for acrylic, laser cut acrylic ones. But there you go, guys. That's what the board looks like. Let's zoom in a little bit. So there you go. I think this side gives you a better example on camera of how the light's diffusing. This side looks much better in real life. I think it's just the red light that the camera doesn't like. So there you go. I don't know if he's got these on a... Oh, there you go. That turns it on and off. Oh. Okay, I've disconnected the board now. Let's see if we can get that back. Oh no, I've done something and damaged it. I've done something and damaged it. I've hit a setting in there and it didn't like it. Oh well, we'll fix it later on. There you go, guys. This is a prototype PCB. Prototypes have issues. That's a known thing. We'll be all good. We'll be all good. It didn't like it, but there we go. The through-hole components won't be pre-soldered. No, you'll need to do those yourself. I didn't do them on stream today. You will need to do them yourself. But there you go. I think it was the reset button that I hit. Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't know what the mapping was like, but I think I hit the reset button. But there you go. This is what it's going to look like in natural light. I'll fix the PCB shortly when I cut a replacement plate for it. There you go. I hope you guys like that. Would you guys like to hear how it sounds? Would you like a quick typing test? Maybe we should do a typing test. How do you guys feel about that? Quick typing test. We haven't decided on a price range yet. No, we've still got a lot of pricing to work out. Let's pause the music and let's do a bit of a sound test. Let's see how this sounds. Bear in mind, this is the first revision. This is the original prototype. There are some tweaks and changes that would be made to this before the production run happens. Okay, let's see how it sounds. Okay, guys, that's the first time I've ever typed on this prototype, and I've got to be honest with you, that sounds way better than I was expecting. These Murlocs are not stock, no, they have been lubed and filmed. So Socialite is in chat and he can confirm exactly how they were done. He did before, I've forgotten what he said, but they have been lubed and filmed. It's not particularly loud, it's quite muted. It does have some foam on the inside of the case, bear in mind, which was Socialite's preference. But I'm really, really impressed by how this sounds. Like, this is DCS Keycap, so GMK is going to sound a little bit different. Bear that in mind, guys. But I'm really, really, really happy with that. It's quite muted. It's quite sensitive. It's just really nice, clean sound. That's the best way to describe it. It's just really clean. It sounds like a keyboard should sound. Let me put it that way. It sounds like a keyboard should sound. If you like a lot of vintage keyboards, you're going to like this board. Let's put it that way. Really, really happy with that. Yeah, like, this is just so nice. Look at that. How's that for a side profile? Look at that.
Ooh,
Socialite,
very nice.
Thank you very much for the 5 tier 1 gift subs, dude. Thank you very much for that. Look how nice that looks. Just look at that for a side shot. Like, if anyone had this on their desks, they'd be happy with it, right?
Ooh, very nice.
Ooh, very nice. Thank you so much for the gift subs, man. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you, Socialite. I really appreciate it. Man,
ooh,
I'm really, really
very nice.
I gotta love that soundtrack. Ooh, very nice. It's gonna go again. Here we go.
Ooh, very nice.
And we've still got one more to go as well. Still got one more to go. Where is it? It's here, it's coming.
Ooh, very nice.
There we go. The width of it is a little bit longer than most boards, just because of the sides. You can see that it's slightly wider than this TKL over here. I'm going to have to unplug it. So if I move the TKL into view, you can see that it's slightly wider than a TKL. And that's just because of these two windowed portions here. Slightly wider than a TKL. Just want to make sure what people know what they're in for. Yeah, it is a wide board. It's a 60%, and then you've got effectively what would fit 2 switches on either side in as well. So you've got effectively 4 switches further in width. Which, if you think about it, that's kind of right, because if you put it to here, if you put another switch on here, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's kind of what you got. 60% plus 4 switches. That's going to take you to there. So that's the kind of size of it. There we go. So there we go, guys. That is the Argyle idea from Socialite, design by James AKB, PCB by Yankar, fulfillment by me. There we go. There we go. I would feel like I would be tempted to pick it up using those windows. Pick it up by the windows? No, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that. But there you go, guys. This is the Argyle. I hope you guys like it. I'm a big, big fan of it, and I'm really, really happy that we've managed to make it a real thing. Okay, guys, it's time for me pretty much to close down the stream. If you guys have got any more questions, now is the time to ask. So if you guys want to know anything else before we close down the stream, let me know, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. Just to give you a recap of upcoming stuff, I've got another build stream next week. It's going to be the Oceanographer by Hedgie. That's the board I'm going to be building this time next week. I'm really, really excited for that build. It's going to be another addition to my 40s collection, so I'm really tempted to do that pretty soon. I'm going to lose some switches for that tomorrow, I think. In terms of other streams, Brian and I will both be back this Friday with our usual Top Clack stream. I'm really sorry I wasn't there on Friday this week. It's purely because I was snowed in at home and I couldn't get out, but I will be there this time next week. So sorry, this coming Friday. So I'm really excited to get back on the track with streaming, and we're going to have Glasses on stream in a couple of weeks as well. So watch out for that. Not sure the date yet exactly, but at some point in the next couple of weeks, Glasses is going to come on and be part of Top Clack for a day as well. Do those windows have covers? Yeah, so there is acrylic in there. You can see it reflecting. There is acrylic in there. So there you go. So there you go, guys. Is it cool if we raid bow boards? I don't know him, but yeah, absolutely we can do a raid. Let me have a look at that. Okay, I think we're pretty much done for today. Let me see if I can find him. I can't find him. Is that the right spelling, Raz? Baoboards. I can't find him. No, they're not holes. They're actually covered. These have got acrylic in there. Can you see? Can you see? There's acrylic in there. It covers them nicely. Just keeps dust out. Bow boards. Yeah, I can't find him when I'm searching for him. Hold on. Yeah, it's not finding him as someone I can raid, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not finding him as someone I can raid. The challenge of mature filter that might be right. Okay, maybe so. Let's raid Disco Crocodile because I can see he's streaming right now. So let's raid Disco Crocodile instead. I do want to make sure we do some raids, so let's start that off. Guys, I just want to say thank you very much to everyone for being here today. I hope you enjoyed the Argyle build, and I hope you'll consider joining the group buy when it runs in a few months' time. But thank you very much for everyone being here today. I'm going to run the outro now, so thank you very much, and I'll see you again at some point very, 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 very soon. So thank you very much, guys. Take care, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.